Alright, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of things, okay? This, I know, might seem very weird. You're like, what the hell is this? It's a clock, okay? I know it doesn't really look like one, but that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. Kind of inspired by this man, okay, that I love dearly. His name is Bill Donahue. He passed away, but amazing man, amazing teachings, life-changing truly. And he was talking about this thing, this concept that it came with the clock, okay? You want to see your clock as a mind. Because your mind essentially does this thing, like what a clock does, is that it sways back and forth. And this is usually what people are doing every single day, okay? They're living in this concept of time, okay? Since we are bound to time. And they are going between their past stories, so what has happened, and then their future worries, what they must be done. And that is pretty much how they live their life. That's, I don't know why I wrote that into mine yet. So basically that's how they kind of tiptoe through life. Okay, they go from their past stories to their future worries. Right. But what happens when you're able to kind of center this swaying thing? What happens is you are able to tap into the present moment. Presence, whatever, presence. Well, I totally butchered that, but that's what happens is when you're able to essentially stop this thing from going like this, okay? And what's funny about the present moment is that it's actually the only thing that exists within our reality, okay? This is just the mind. You're controlled by your mind. You're a slave to your mind. That's actually what's happening, is that you're just becoming, and I hope you guys like my shirt because it says exactly what we're talking about. It's like, don't overthink. Is that initially the reason why a lot of people are very average or never really follow their dreams or just kind of comply to whatever their life is because they are a slave to their mind because of everything and all the stories that we hear in the world and all the things and all the blah 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 blah. Their mind is totally infiltrated with bullshit, okay? So all they see is this and this. But they don't realize that actually when you stop this and you stop that and you bring this thing back to its center, you're able to access the present moment. And what happens is now you're actually able to enter within your true consciousness, which is usually called the God consciousness, okay? If you don't believe in God, that makes no sense because when you're born, first of all, there's nothing that you can inherently not believe in. You're believing in something. You're either not believing in God, which is a belief, because you don't know, you have no factual truth, or you're believing in God, or you're believing in your pain, or you're believing in, you know, the things that people have told you, the stories. You're believing in the past stories that define you who you are today. You're believing in the fact that you might not have enough money at your retirement. You're believing that that job is the only thing that's going to give you success. You're believing that money is hard to get. You're always in a state of believing something, okay? Now imagine if you were just able to believe in yourself. Imagine you stop giving a shit about your past story. You stop giving a shit about the worries, and you actually just tapped into the presence, and you start believing in yourself. Now that is where you access the God consciousness, the collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it. That's what happens. Now what's interesting is that we were put onto this planet to pursue something that excites us, okay? We have this creative spark within us, okay? You could call it almost like it's like electricity, okay? Our life force, okay? People call it the Kundalini, life force, whatever. You have a life force within you, okay? That sparks through you through excitement or fear, because most of the time is that what happens is that we are fearful of pursuing our excitement or creative endeavors. So the thing is your body doesn't recognize the difference between excitement and fear. It just puts it out how you decide to narrate it, but it comes out of you. But most of the times people are expelling it through fear. That's the issue. Now, if you start expelling it through excitement, your life energy, your electricity, you would start seeing reality a little more different, right? Wouldn't give a shit about everything outside of you anymore, because you'd be accessing that one thing that will inevitably give you abundance, which is your God consciousness. And through your creative endeavor, if you're able to access the God consciousness, you will inevitably, undoubtedly, be successful. Because guess what? No past stories, no future worries, just creation. How the fuck can you be unsuccessful in that if you're literally accessing your God consciousness and you're pursuing what lights up your electricity? Right. You can. You're gonna be successful. It's inevitable. It's actually inevitable to be successful at what you do because you love doing it and you're really good at it. So how can you be bad at it? No, because seriously, how the fuck can you be bad at it? The only reason you'll be bad at it is because you're infiltrated by the human psyche, the mind, past stories, future worries. And that's where we talk about meditation. Because the only way to access, your God consciousness is through meditation, because the meditation is what forces you into the present moment. Okay? That's why so many successful people in this world meditate. Because they realize that they need to access their God consciousness in order to be really successful at what they love. Okay? People that build legacies, people that build, these really inspirational titles for themselves, whatever you want to call it. You can't do that without accessing your God consciousness. You need to access your God consciousness. Because everything else outside of you is fleeting and temporary. But if you embody your God consciousness, which is inevitably your truth, okay, that's your truth. Your soul is very aware of its own truth, but you run away from it because of your ego and your mind. And you attach yourself to all these things outside of you, and then you become addicted to all of these vices because you are ignoring what is within you, which is the truth of your soul, which is your God consciousness that will ignite you and propel you into your full embodiment of who you truly are, which will inevitably bring you your success. So how can we access it? Like I said, meditation. The thing is that people have this really distorted perception on meditation. They think that they have to sit down and go oh. No, it doesn't work that way. No. Meditation is a very personal experience, and it doesn't have to happen anywhere, and it doesn't have to be in some type of environment, or it doesn't have to be in some type of time frame. You don't need time. You don't need shit. You know what you need? You just need yourself. That's all you need. So what happens is that life, okay, is going to inevitably throw you curveballs every single day. Okay, it might be big ones, might be small ones, but you're gonna always have external circumstances. Okay, the external will always be there. That is inevitable. Okay, it's always there. Physical reality, that's the whole fucking point. Now, this is where your resistance is, right? So this is what usually drives the mind to go back to its future worries and its past stories and all these things, and then kind of you lead to self-sabotage and whatever the fuck it is. But now you have a choice. Okay, now you have a choice to actually get into this meditation. And the meditation doesn't have to be, like I said, you don't have to sit anywhere. It's actually a contemplative meditation. So what I mean by that is that now you're actually tapping into the present moment when you are met with external circumstances that are negative, or things that you feel like are holding you back, or people that are, talking smack, or whatever the fuck it is now you have to silence the mind and tap into your God consciousness. This is where you're going to unlock yourself, because you're going to realize how all this is not real. Bullshit. This is you. Not this. This is you. Okay? And what happens is that when you step into contemplative meditation, you realize how you've been trapped, you've been tricked by your own mind. Carl Jung said the shadow, right? We get tricked by the shadow. We get sucked in by our mind's voices, you know, the voices that are negative, or the ones that want you to fall into this cycle of comfort, or cycle of continuous, you know, it's like almost like you're living in a purgatory. You know, you're never really evolving. The reason why is because you're not able to contemplate meditation. For me, the only way I was able to evolve as a human being was to realize the negativity in my life, and to contemplate the negativity in my life by meditating into it. That's the only way you can access your God consciousness. And then, as soon as the God consciousness is unlocked, and you understand what you are and what you aren't, these things get very, very silent, because you realize they're not real, and they were never a part of you. You know, we think that they're a part of us, but they're never, ever were a part of us. It's just part of the ego. And you're not the ego. You're the awareness behind all of it. And since you're the awareness behind all of it, you also have full control. And the only way you can fully control your mind, your external circumstances, is to access God consciousness. It all circles back to that. There's nothing else you can do. There's no other answer. And I feel like the world will, you know, try and tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And there's nothing to do, bro. There's nothing to do, because everyone has a unique experience in life. And the only way that you can access it is your own way, which, like I said, is sitting in your own present moment and deciding to realize and flip the switch of what you are and what you aren't. If you are able to come to that awareness and be like, oh fuck, like what I'm feeling right now is a feeling that might influence thoughts, that might influence actions, but that's not me. I'm actually in the middle, which is my higher self, my God consciousness. That's when you're actually retraining your mind to actually find more silence, and you find more peace. And when you find more peace and you access that God consciousness, what happens is now you're able to actually operate from it. So the more curveballs are thrown at you, the more you're able to evolve, and to realize every time, like, okay, wait, now I could sit back into that, realize this is not me, this is not me, that's not me, this event that happened, it's not me. Always sit back into what is true, what is real, the present moment. That's all that's real. You can't argue with me on that. Present moment's all the thing we only have, you know what I mean? We created clocks. You know, this is not real. Clocks are not real. We created them so we could just have like days and stuff, but it's not like an actual thing. What is real is now. Who are you right now? Are you able to access this right now? Yes, you are, because that's all there is. This is why people are collectively now, there's this trend going on called retard maxing, which is hilarious, but it's actually pretty serious when you think about it, because it's just showing how the collective consciousness is realizing how the mind is the devil. The ego is the thing that will keep you from progressing or being successful in your endeavors. And why they say retard is because essentially that type of person doesn't think, usually. They don't really, I don't think they have many thoughts. They kind of just do. So what happens is you're able to realize that you're not your thoughts, and thus sit into the present moment, which is true, and then act on your highest excitement, highest passion, highest this, highest that. But the thing is like I said, it's an ongoing process, okay? That's why meditation is a spiritual discipline, it's a spiritual practice that is very hard to master, because it's something that will always be ever needed in your life to be able to build something very abundant, something very, you know, that can be looked at and, you know, inspired by. That's the only way you can truly get there. There's no other way. And yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. My little thing, but you have to realize that this is like your mind. Like, you don't realize how much shit you believe that your mind's telling you every fucking day. Like, it's not real, dude. It's not fucking. The second a thought comes in your mind that is negative, realize that it's not you. It's something that's running in your brain, and it's not you. And that's why you gotta tap into contemplative meditation. Fight it. That's why you gotta fight it. You say, no, wait, shut up. shut the fuck up. This is me. I'm my God consciousness. Shut the fuck up. You know, and the more you stand on business, you know, you clock it, you stand on that business, it's gonna shut up because it has no choice. You are the God. You know, you're the creator. You're the one that creates this life that you have, right? So once you step in your God consciousness and you tell and you command your energy and you say, I'm not being a fucking cuck right now to my goddamn thoughts, and I know this is not me. Fuck that. That's when you create your abundance in life. That's when you excel. That's when you start seeing the momentum build, and that's when you start actually pushing with a lot of power rather than control and force. Because control and force is just from the ego, babe. It's just from the ego. So, an important thing to know, because we're actually evolving as a collective consciousness right now, whether you know it or not. The world is a highly spiritual reality. And the more you run away from it, the more you're going to live a lie, essentially. So you can keep saying that it's not real, but like you're in it all the time. Like it's just, that's what it is. It's like a mosquito saying that the human isn't right there, you know, because they can't perceive it, but it's always there. It's like, I'm controlling your fucking world, bro. Like there are rules to this universe. So you can either pretend they're not there and use your little rational mind and live a lie, live a force, live in fear and resentment, because that's what happens inevitably when you try to turn a blind eye to what the truth is of this world, and hate yourself essentially. But if you don't want to do that, you know, because you could like actually love yourself, you should tap into this shit. It's actually really interesting. But it's up to you. You know, I can't. At the end of the day, that's why you have free will. It's because that's how you create your karma. That's how you create your accumulation of your subconscious debt that stays within you. Your universal imprint, right? That God's keeping in track, right? So, you know, it depends how much time you want to suffer. If you want to keep suffering, don't listen to this. If you don't want to suffer, maybe take a little bit of the advice. It's up to you, honestly. I'm not gonna push it. You know, I'm not a pusher. I'm a shower. I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm going to go now, and I hope this helped a bit. As it wasn't like this craziest, kind of messy, but you know, I just wanted to talk about it. So hopefully you got a little bit of insight out of this, or you didn't. But it doesn't matter. Anyways, I still love you, and I hope you have a great day. And remember the clock. Just remember the clock. Remember the clock.